High in the frozen peaks of the Himalayas, where oxygen thins and the winds whisper legends, an ancient mystery has persisted for centuries. The Yeti, known as the Abominable Snowman. This towering ape-like creature has haunted explorers' imaginations and inspired countless expeditions. But now, after decades of myths, hoaxes, and blurry footprints, science may have finally solved the mystery. For centuries, the people of Nepal and Tibet have spoken of a massive fur-covered being that roams the mountains. The Sherpas call it Matokami, which means man-bear snowman. It was Western climbers who later mistranslated that to the now famous name, the Abominable Snowman. To the locals, the Yeti wasn't a monster. It was a guardian spirit of the mountains, both feared and respected. But to explorers and scientists of the early 20th century, it was something else. A biological mystery waiting to be discovered. In 1921, during the British Mount Everest reconnaissance expedition, explorer Charles Howard Barry and his team reported strange, large footprints in the snow at an altitude above 20,000 feet. They described them as almost human, but larger. The myth quickly captured the world's attention. Newspapers printed sensational headlines. Hollywood created monster movies, and adventurers, armed with cameras and rifles, ventured into the Himalayas in search of the elusive snowman. Throughout the 1950s and 60s, numerous expeditions claimed to have found evidence of the Yeti footprints, tufts of fur, bones, and even what was said to be a Yeti scalp in a Tibetan monastery. In 1959, the famous mountaineer Sir Edmund Hillary, the first man to summit Everest, embarked on his own Yeti expedition. He examined the alleged scalp, only to discover it was made from the hide of a Himalayan goat. Disappointment spread, but the mystery refused to die. Even as modern science advanced, reports of Yeti sightings continued. Trekking guides spoke of strange calls echoing through the mountains at night. Climbers photographed footprints too large for any known animal. The deeper scientists looked, the stranger the story became. Fast forward to the 21st century, the age of speculation was over. DNA technology had opened a new frontier. In 2013, Oxford University geneticist Brian Sykes launched what he called the Oxford-Lausanne Collateral Hominid Project, a scientific investigation into mysterious creatures like the Yeti, Bigfoot, and Sasquatch. Sykes and his team collected dozens of hair, bone, and skin samples claimed to belong to unknown primates. The samples came from museums, monasteries, and private collections, each one supposedly from a Yeti or a similar creature. Then, using state-of-the-art genetic sequencing, Sykes began comparing them to known species. The results shocked the world. Out of the dozens of samples, most turned out to belong to familiar animals: Himalayan bears, yaks, horses, even raccoons and dogs. But two samples stood out, both from the Himalayas. Their DNA did not match any known bear species living today. Instead, the sequences closely resembled an ancient polar bear, one that lived more than 40,000 years ago. This raised an astonishing possibility, that the Yeti sightings could be linked to a rare hybrid species, part brown bear, part ancient polar bear still roaming the remote valleys of the Himalayas. Could this be the origin of the Yeti legend? To find out, scientists and filmmakers ventured into the high-altitude wilderness of Bhutan and Nepal. They followed the trails where locals had reported Yeti encounters. What they found were enormous paw prints, half covered in snow, too large for any known Himalayan animal, yet distinctly bear-like. Camera traps were set up. Over months, researchers captured images of large, golden-furred bears walking upright on their hind legs for brief moments of behavior, sometimes seen in bears when climbing or scanning their surroundings. The evidence was beginning to make sense. For generations, locals might have encountered these rare, massive bears, glimpsing them standing upright or silhouetted against snow and mist. Their enormous size, shaggy coats, and strange posture would easily inspire stories of a mountain man covered in fur. In short, science was unmasking the myth, without destroying the magic. But why do Yeti legends exist in nearly every Himalayan culture, from Bhutan to Tibet, from Nepal to northern India? Anthropologists suggest that the myth of the Yeti may serve a deeper cultural function. In Buddhist and Sherpa traditions, mountains are sacred spaces, homes of gods, spirits, and ancestral forces. The Yeti, they say, symbolizes the wild, untamed power of nature. It's a spirit guardian, not a beast. By respecting its presence, locals reaffirmed their connection to the land. In that way, the Yeti became a bridge between human civilization and the wilderness beyond. Even today, trekkers and locals still report strange experiences: unearthly howls, fleeting shapes in the fog, and footprints that appear overnight. In 2019, the Indian Army claimed to have found Yeti footprints in the snow near Makalu Base Camp, 32 by 15 inches in size. The claim made headlines worldwide, reigniting the debate. But when scientists analyzed the photos, they concluded the prints were most likely from a Himalayan bear, once again tying the mystery back to known species. And so, time and again, science circles back to a simple truth. The Yeti may not be a hidden hominid, but a misidentified bear extraordinary, elusive, and perfectly adapted to the extreme Himalayan environment. After years of analysis, geneticists, zoologists, and anthropologists agree the Yeti is not a missing link or a giant ape. It is most likely a species or hybrid of bear that has evolved in isolation among the world's highest peaks. Specifically, DNA evidence points to the Himalayan brown bear and the Tibetan blue bear, both rare, both capable of walking upright briefly, and both fitting the descriptions in ancient texts. Yet even with the mystery largely solved, the fascination endures. Why? Because the Yeti, real or not, represents humanity's endless hunger for discovery, the idea that somewhere out there, in the vast unknown, mystery still exists. The Yeti may never have been a monster hiding in the snow, but it has left its footprint on the human imagination. From children's stories to blockbuster films, from ancient scrolls to DNA labs, the Yeti embodies our shared curiosity, the thrill of wondering what lies just beyond our understanding. And maybe that's why, even when science provides an answer, the legend never truly dies. Because the Yeti isn't just a creature of the mountains, it's a mirror of ourselves, of our need to believe there's still something unexplored, something wild. So perhaps the Yeti has finally been found not in shadowy photographs or ancient footprints, but in the double helix of DNA, entwined with myth and memory. Science has lifted the veil, but the wonder remains. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey into the heart of the Himalayas. If you enjoyed unraveling this mystery with us, please hit that like button and subscribe for more adventures into the unknown. We'll see you in the next video.